was featured twice in GQ South Africa. I was the MC for the Rugby Sevens, and I got to be working at the Formula One in Abu Dhabi a few times. That was so many cool different things, that I got to do because I did, go for it. And even though, I had traveled and I had done all these cool things, and I came back to the States for a little bit, and I just kind of got really depressed. It took a while for me to realize that, oh, wait a minute, like, I can have adventure anywhere. Here I'm thinking like, oh, I'm not going to have a good time. I'm not going to be happy until I leave again or until I go somewhere again. And remembering that, and like also learning that, wait a minute, what am I doing? I have the control to control my mindset and to decide what things mean and do all these things that I just kind of gave away my power to, it's like, oh, I'm not happy because of this person. I'm not happy because of this agency or this job, or like, I don't like living in here. And it's wait, like, that is my choice, right? Like, no one is forcing me to do any of those things. I'm choosing that. Once I kind of realized that, it just changed my whole life. It was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Why don't more people know this, right? Like, literally, if you jump up and down, it changes the biochemistry of your brain to make you happier. And it's like, I was so unhappy. I wasn't really doing many things. Like, I was really passionate about, like, how can I help and support people? Why doesn't everyone care? Why isn't everybody wanting to help everyone all the time? Like, felt like everything kind of was coming down on me. And it was like, and I'm stuck. I just had all these feelings like I lost control. And then kind of once I regained it, and I really started learning so much about it, because I wasn't as much consciously practicing these things before. It was more just the experiences and like being mindful of things, but it wasn't as much of like a conscious practice. It was just, I learned so many amazing tools. And then I decided basically to change my life and focus on how can I support more people and inspire and encourage people, but by teaching these kinds of tools. So at the time that I really dove into this, I'd moved to Atlanta to focus on acting. And I just kind of went to my acting coach one day and I was like, I just feel like, I don't need to focus on acting to have a platform to, have a voice to inspire people. I just want to start inspiring people. I like, and it's fun acting and modeling. Just like, it wasn't like what drove me anymore. Okay, so one thing that I think is super important that a lot of people don't realize is words have power, right? So I do my best not to say like anything after I am that I don't want to be. Like, I don't want to be sick, or like, I'm not going to say all the time, like, I'm sick, I'm, lonely, I'm depressed. Like, I don't want to be those things. So I don't want to say them, because you're attracting what you say, like, and you're believing what you say. It's funny because the more I say I'm excited, and I realize I actually say it all the time, the more excited I get. Like, I get so excited. And it's also because I am literally saying I am excited. So yeah, it takes practice, but I think it's so important to, like, focus on the kind of words you're using and what you're saying, and then also how you identify yourself. So, like, funny story. So I know Jordan because my first boyfriend was, my senior year in high school, and he and Jordan were good friends. And I never really dated. Like, my parents were getting divorced when I was in high school, and I was really busy in sports and like doing my own thing. After, like, anytime I was single, it was like new to me. It was like, what is this being single? It's weird, and I'm awkward. It was like how I was thinking. And so, like, it was just a funny thing. Like, I would joke, and make fun of myself. It was like, I'm awkward around guys that I like. And one time this guy messaged me, or no, he called me actually after he dropped me off. Like, we were kind of hanging out for like a couple weeks, and he called me and he's like, after he dropped me off, and I was like, what is he calling for? And he goes, did I do something to make you uncomfortable? And I'm like, no, why? He's like, because you got out of the car when it was still moving. And I was like, oh my God. So it's funny because not only was I saying I was awkward, like, obviously I wanted him to kiss me, but I was, nervous, and and I literally identified with I am awkward that I was doing awkward things. Like, who does that? I did that. So it's kind of like, how are you identifying yourself? Do you identify yourself as, with like a limiting belief or a belief that doesn't serve you? So it's like, I'm not a morning person, I can't exercise, or I can't wake up early, or I am always going to be late because I'm a late person. It's like, literally, you're defining yourself. What you say, what you think, what you believe, that can change. It's your choice, It's kind of just like, I don't want to be awkward, so I'm not going to call myself awkward anymore. I think it's important to figure out first, like, what it is you want, because a lot of times people not only are scared, but are also like end up unhappy because they're defining, happiness or success from someone else's definition. So to get clear on that is super important and super impactful. I know, like for me, right? Because like I'm scared, or I was scared of, I'm not going to be happy, or I'm not going to be successful. It's like, well, wait a minute. I don't actually even want to be like successful in that way. I don't actually define success that way, right? So it's like I define success as like, am I happy? You know, do I have harmony in all these amazing areas of my life? Like I don't define success in a way that someone else may define success. And I feel like a lot of times we're scared, and there's a lot of fear that revolves around that because we're scared of not being like someone else. Good. You know, it was, do you know how many people thought I was so crazy for like traveling? They're like, you're going to give up this job that you make so much like, you know, good money doing for something that you have no idea about, and to go to a place you've never been where you don't know anybody. And it's like, yes, because I think you know, use your 20s for you. I think for me, it's like, I'm more scared of, you know, I don't want to look back one day and wish that I did this or that. And it's like, I wrote this article called, you know, what are you waiting for? And it was just, I talk in there about, you know, am I going to be able to hike up Table Mountain as easily when I'm 65 as when I'm 25? Probably not, you know, I mean, I am, but just the idea of like, we can go some, like my whole thought process behind it was like, yeah, it's scary. Yeah, it's unknown, but it's like the amazing experiences, the network I'm going to build are going to benefit me and my life so much by doing it now when I'm young. You know, it's like we're rushing to settle down and to just have a life that we think we need to have, but we can have whatever life we choose to. It's like, if you want kids, great. If you don't want kids, great. Like, it's your choice. We feel fear and like we're anxious and uncomfortable because we're not listening to ourselves. We're trying to listen to everybody else. Me focusing on being positive and, okay, how can I be grateful for this? That is the number one thing, I think. And from what I hear, most of these people think that are in the same space of personal development or just kind of living out your best life. It's like focusing on gratitude and like focusing on what you want, right? So it's like, you don't want to focus on what you don't want. You don't want to attract more of that, right? If I'm focusing on like, oh, I don't like this about this, and I don't like that, like, I don't want that. I don't want more of that. So why don't I just take the energy away from that and focus on the things that I do want? And so one of the things that has been really special for me is like creating solid morning and evening routines. You know, it's been nice kind of really focusing on, okay, like 5 a.m. I want to wake up and journal and meditate and read, and 6 a.m. I'm in the gym, or, you know, it gives me the structure that I need, but it's also, you know, really helpful for getting to where I want to be. You know, like we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Something or someone is a priority to you, you'll make the time. Not, you'll make an excuse. And like that was something that I know from even, you know, having 4 jobs, double majoring in college, right? And having a full-time boyfriend. It was like, okay, if I want to spend time with this person or call this person, like I'm going to make the time. So like you got to prioritize and you got to plan, and like you need to make time for things that are important to you. And like, since our lives and like ourselves, like we're all we are, we're just made up of our little habits and like everything that we do. So it's like, are you eating clean for the most part every day? Are you exercising and moving your body every day? It's all these little changes, these little habits, that is what makes up your life. The life you have, the job you have, the relationship you have, the people in your network that are, you know, around you.
And we kind of also discussed, I don't know if you remember this, but we kind of talked about like cheap highs as opposed to like substantial like happiness and fulfillment. You know, we talked about how like you can go out one night and drink and go out, but it's a cheap high. You feel temporarily happy, but in the morning you feel like, you know, you have a hangover, or you feel regret, and how it's really just like a cheap high. While like we were talking about, you know, training for a marathon, and that was one of the most fulfilling experiences I've ever had was doing that. And it was like genuine fulfillment from accomplishing a task that I never thought I could fulfill.
I feel like a lot of times people are doing these cheap highs because they aren't in alignment with what they want, and they're living a life that they don't like, right? So it's like, if you're living for the weekend because you hate your job or you don't like your partner, or like, why are you there? People that are not taking control back because they're giving it away. That's when it's easy to look for a cheap high, right? It's like, you're not going to get that long-term gratification or that long-term fulfillment if you're unhappy and unfulfilled every single day. What can you do other than try to escape any chance you get? So that's why it's so important to, okay, figure out like, what is it that you want? What kind of partner do you want? You know, and just aligning yourself with these people or these friends. You know, do you want friends that are, if I say I'm going to run for president, I want friends that are going to be like, oh my gosh, yes, everyone, like stay healthy and live your best life. because you can do it.
All right.
So I was gonna say, like, what are you waiting for?